Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip-hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood, and I'm here to talk to you about the Sci-Fi Center. It's your Vegas home for science fiction, horror, and fantasy. From comic books, toys, and posters to movie screenings and live events, they've got you covered. Located at 900 Cameron Avenue, Suite B209, give them a call, 702-900-4335, or reach them at thescificenter.com.
E-Class Consulting. It's owned and operated by Carice, providing tools, training, and resources that are sure to make you and your business even more successful. We are staffed with a marketing, credit, tax, and a real estate consultant. E-Class Consulting also provides a temporary admin service called E-Class Admins. Want to book an appointment with E-Class Consulting? Call 702-518-3002 or email book@eclassconsulting.com. E-Class Consulting, navigating you to greatness.
It's your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and you're tuned into the hottest news station on the planet, Hot 702.5.
It's your main man, 360, the poet from the Morning Wood. And are you looking for the perfect drink? Well, you found it. Mimosa Royale is the perfect combination of California's sparkling white wine and natural juice that is both tasty and refreshing. No artificial colors or flavors, no sugar added, and it's gluten-free. As the world's first ready-to-drink mimosa, Mimosa Royale is perfect for any occasion, day or night. You no longer have to drink 12 of those seltzers just to get that perfect buzz. At 8% alcohol, Mimosa Royale is the perfect drink to party with. Offered in a variety of flavors and sizes, you are bound to find a Mimosa Royale that you'll love. We have berry, mango, apple, and orange, with more flavors to come. Mimosa Royale is the most award-winning flavored wine that serves in bottles or cans. You can find them online at drinkmimosa.com or find them at your local liquor store. Ask for it by name. Mimosa Royale.
Yo, it's Tavon Greatness Patterson. Want to listen to Hot 702.5 on the go? Download the Hot 702.5 app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store if you got an Android like me.
Let's get it.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com. All right, all right. You guys are tuned in right now to Hotlyte right here on hot7025fm.com. I am E. Carice, and man, listen, you guys have already met my guest before, but today we're about to get real risky, okay? I got a couple of dents in this book right here, okay? And we're about to get into talking about it. This book is called I Am Not Your Black America, okay? And we're about to see who this author is really talking about because, we all got questions. And I'm about to dive into a couple of sections. I'm not going to give y'all the whole meat and potatoes because you can go ahead and you can go to the website and you can download the book. We're going to give you the links for all of that stuff. And you can order your book and merch, whatever you need to do to get into this conversation as well, because we are just starting off with a few chapters. That's all I got in me. Okay, for these 55 minutes, because it's about to get real risky. So without further ado, I have the world famous, okay, the author, all right, Meshorn Daniels. He is live with me. How you feeling?
Wow. I am here. I'm back. And
you
I
are.
feel real good
you
about
are.
this because I'm in my castle. I'm here in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm in my home. Okay, where I can say I'm the king. Okay, I'm feeling real relaxed and everything.
Good.
So thank you for having me back.
You know what? Thank you for sharing and being with us. Again, and I've had a chance to read half this book, and
All right.
man,
I'm in.
it's a lot that we could talk about. And shout out to everybody that's listening live first. Those of you who are on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. We are live also on Instagram. And what else are we live? Yes.
I'm hoping Louisville. I put it out there. Louisville.
Facebook.
Represent. Some folks want to know if they can call in too. I mean, I guess some folks say they want to call in. They can call in?
They can call in. The number is going to be on the bottom of the screen. The number, those of you who need to hear it verbally, 702-551-5261 is the number that we need you to call into. But we will open that up later on and allow you all the opportunity to call in for sure. So, listen, I've been reading this book.
Okay. I've been waiting. And, I said to you earlier in your reprieve that I've been looking for some strong sisters to come at me about my book, because I got a lot of other people who have really dived in, but I haven't really had no sisters, and everybody been telling me you the right one. Okay, so they told me you the right one. Okay, to go in. I'm trying to see where you gonna take me.
I am the right one, and there's plenty of right ones out there that could join this conversation as well. So let's just go ahead and get into it, because I have some notes. I got some folding. I got some got some wear and tear here. Okay. All right. And again, I just want you guys to make sure that you purchase this book. Tell them your website real quick, because we want them to purchase it before this segment is over.
Well, first of all, I'm hoping that each and every one of you will see some value in this conversation, that you'll be willing to go to Uncle Meshorn, UncleMeshorn.com, and you can actually order my book from 3 different places I'm kind of proud of. You can go to Uncle Meshorn, it's Walmart. I'm on Target and Barnes & Noble. And eventually we get ready to have my audio come out too, so stay tuned for that.
Okay, perfect. So a little bit of backstory for those of you who didn't have the privilege of watching our conversation before. We talked about you being in the military. We talked about you, working in the medical field.
Surgical technology, right.
And two, we talk about you being in the military, for 21 plus years too.
Yes.
So that's a conversation to have. And then I had questions. If your wife was white or black. We had a lot of juicy tea.
Yeah. I got a lot of laughs on that one there. Just like a sister want to find out whether or not I got a sister, which was good. I mean, actually, I thought that was a very good, real question to go there, and I appreciate you going there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that it was necessary because I'm like, you telling us not to be black. I'm trying to figure out what's going on at the house, you know. So definitely had that conversation as well. So real quick, we can just start from the beginning because, you know, just kind of starting off like with the preface and things like that. But first chapter, Not Your Black, and I essentially explaining, okay, cool, this is the title of it. And, you know, what exactly does that mean? So I had a couple of takeaways. So when you say, I am not your Black America, in a short synopsis, what does that mean to you?
Good question. And so the first thing I need to say, do you know what code switching is?
So I worked in corporate America for about 20 plus years, okay, as an executive. And I was the only person who looked like me in my department, for at least for the last 7 years of it. So there were a lot of good, wholesome white people that were were on the team with us. So right. I wouldn't say. I think that at my last years, I didn't care about code switching. I was gonna be who authentically I was anyway. But I think that you can adjust to the environment of those around you based off of certain circumstances.
So, and the reason why I asked that question right up front is because when I say that I'm not your Black, I'm speaking about the fact that I was not indoctrinated into that ideology and the culture growing up. You know, my parents kept me from going to traditional Black schools, and I didn't hang out. I didn't go to Black churches. I didn't do any of that. Okay, so I was sheltered. So when I first entered into the military, I had other people tell me I wasn't Black. You know, in the military, when I joined, there were Black Panthers, and they were older than me. They told me I wasn't Black. I didn't know. I thought I was Black, but I was told that I wasn't Black. And what they were referring to is that I didn't have all the traditional, swagger and all the things that I didn't use. I didn't know how to use profanity. I didn't know how to talk. I didn't have all that, what is called to be Black. I didn't have that. So in my first 3 years in the military, I learned how to be that, and I got it down. I became very good at it. And then the unique thing is I changed because I wanted to better myself career. And I became a surgical technologist. I had to go to school, bring up my scores. And then I entered to that field after I had learned how to be down with us. I had learned how to talk the language. It's, get in the head and the ass will follow. I understood the importance of learning how to get people to see me Black. And I accomplished that. But then when I wanted to transfer into the medical field, in a surgical environment, there was nobody in there that looked like me. And so I had to turn back to the very thing because I was brought up in traditional Methodist church before I even went to a traditional Black church. And so the first time I ever walked into a
So are we talking about white method? Are we talking about white Methodist? Because I did go to a Black Methodist church.
I went to a white Methodist church for 4 years before I even entered into a traditional Black church. Matter of fact.
And how old were you?
I was in my 20s.
Okay, so this is after you went to the military.
It was right after I was in the military. I was in the military already, and I had experienced this on a military installation. And so by the time I went to a traditional Black church, I remembered it because I was chasing the women, because, this is before I went into the medical field. I was chasing the ladies because, I was influenced by the women. And I met this young lady out on a Saturday, and she said she'd go to church on Sunday, and I'd meet you there. And and the first time I walked into the church, she was already there, and I came in there, and again, I had never been in this type of environment. Man, they started doing what they were doing, and listen. I thought it was.
What were they doing? Are we saying they were like? Did they have the Holy Spirit?
On in a manner that I wasn't used to coming out of the Methodist traditional teaching of what I was taught. and learning the Bible and everything. So it was not something that I was accustomed to. And so I walked up out of there. I left, and I really did not enter back into that until I went into changed my MOS, and I went into the medical field. And in that field, after I had learned how to be comfortable in walking in what I call black, now I have entered into the medical field as a surgical technologist where no one in there looked like me. Now I'm making good money, okay? And I'm good, and I've learned how to be good in the military. If anybody knows how military people are, you got to represent. And so not only was I, good, but I was like Michael Jordan. I was like the Michael Jordan in the operating room, making good money. And so what happened, making good money and wanting to experience different things outside my church, my first wife did not receive me. She was the traditional, I'm just saying this way, sister. When I used to come home and talk to her, why are you trying to be white? I'm like, what
okay. I think that
don't go there right now.
I don't think that we could say I don't think we could say traditional, because that may be your personal experience, right? So I didn't grow up with black women. I didn't grow up with black women like that. So I can't say this traditional. We'll just say that that's your experience.
My experience. I'm talking about my experience
with your ex-wife.
Right, with my ex-wife.
Got it.
So my ex-wife, when I'm coming home explaining to her what I was experiencing, she was ragging on me. Why are you trying to? And I wanted to go out where they were going. I wanted to hang out. And I was always trying to invite her, but she didn't want to go. So I used to go by myself. So I go and hang out.
So are you talking about hanging out with your white counterparts? Is that what you're mentioning? Got it.
Yeah, hanging out.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Right, exactly. Going to the environments that they wanted to hang out. I wanted experiences. I wanted to go, okay? And I always tried to invite my wife, but my wife, she, you trying to be white. Why you want to do that? Forget all that nonsense. I'm making money over here. I'm going over here and doing what they're doing. And so I was doing that so often that my and I'm using terminologies. I like saying the dominant European culture, but for this conversation, my white comrades, okay, they started seeing, with me, Sean, you're not black. They were like, the hell are you talking about? What they were saying, why are you always trying to? I said, I've never been exposed to some of these, restaurants y'all going to, things that y'all doing. I wanted to experience these things, and I just wanted to hang out. And they're like, and usually I was always the only one look like myself there. And what I started realizing is that they felt comfortable with me as me, Sean. And when other people that they did not know that traditional were black, I started seeing the dominant European culture code switching. They will speak. I witnessed. Now, when I learned how to be in that environment, so I understood the change when they started. So when I started seeing some of my folks coming around and everything as they considered black, I started seeing them code switching, talking different. I used to call them on it.
And I think that's an important topic, because we often talk about black people code switching.
Yes.
But white people do it too. Okay. Yes. And the thing, like it's really a thing. So I appreciate you bringing that up, because yes, that's totally a thing. Like white people do that.
You don't know it unless you in their environment and you witness them doing it. Okay, so they said, Mishon, we comfortable talking.
So one of the comments says that they felt comfortable with your white-faced act, and I don't know if that's you, if they felt comfortable with you playing the role, or whomever playing the role, right? But at the same time, like, I know for me, in my last years working in corporate America, I was like authentically myself, but there were like a couple of white guys that thought they was on the team. And like, I had to kind of like check them without checking them, that let them know that, like, those things are not okay. So that's that. So real quick, because we only, I feel like we don't have enough time. Like, but we're about to get into it.
Away from us. And there's a couple stories.
So the first chapter. Yeah. So the first chapter, not you're black, right? so there were a couple of things. So understanding the first few paragraphs that were written, like essentially it's titled to Americans, right, with their specific culture and ethnicity. We don't know exactly who you're speaking to, but if I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, maybe he's talking to white people. But then again, I'm like continuing to read, and I think that it's important to know, essentially, this book is for white people, okay? And it's a play on words with the title. This is my opinion. It's a play on words with the title. But this book is written for white people to understand that we don't understand what black is at this point.
And Curtis,
right?
Let me help you. The reason why I started our conversation about code switching is because when I had my ghostwriter that helped me write my book, I realized, because I was used to talking, when I'm talking to the dominant European, I'm used to talking to them in the code switching conversation to be in the environment. So I can always make them feel comfortable with me that, hey, I'm cool, talk to me. And so when I was talking to my ghostwriter who was helping me write my book, I didn't know that. I'll be honest with you, I didn't realize it until he started giving it back to me that he was actually understanding the conversation that I was having, but I was always talking to him because he was a white male, 25 years old, academically very educated, and I'm telling him how I want my book written. Because when I tried to code my culture people in the beginning to try to get my book written, they wasn't feeling me. They didn't hear my experience. They didn't understand.
And that's why you take over your own platform. That's why you don't have to utilize white media and white America in order to be your black self, which is why we're here today on Hot 7025. So real quick, one of the inserts that I thought that was important to read in the first chapter, your claimer to represent me and the rest of us in your media in the stories devised by you and for you. Yet the flaw is in the name. Representation is only surface image. So I would say that, so from my notes for that, it was like, what specific media outlets were you referring to in this? Because you're saying the media lets us know what black is. And just briefly, because we don't want to tell them all the juice, right?
Yeah, no. I'm glad that that's very nice that you pulled that out. Okay, when I'm referring to that is that when we look at the media, and I guess the best thing is when you think about the Ice Cube movie and Friday, the shootings took place and everything. They know a shooting.
Which Ice Cube movie? You talking about Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, Boys in the Hood. When
Uncle Michon turning your black card immediately.
Yeah. But what I'm talking about is when the media does not report our experience in the news, okay? And we know something happened, but they tell it from their perspective. It never from our perspective. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the left media. I'm talking about the things that we know.
We're talking about filtered media. We're talking about filtered media, and one of the comments was Fox News, right?
CNN is one of those. Okay, we have a tremendous amount of filtered media that does not really explain. But I want to go back to something you said. I want to make sure you understand. I felt comfortable with my ghostwriter writing the way they wrote because I realized I wanted to speak to the dominant European culture about what I recognized and what I understood as someone who had learned how to navigate in their environment. Do you understand? I wanted to speak to them about that. So I didn't feel bad about him. I didn't feel bad about the code switching that I was doing with him. What I thought was interesting that he was feeding it back to me in the manner that he did, which was what was very powerful.
Right. And then I think it's also important to understand that, and I purposely do this because I created a media platform that has over 6 million, listeners that are documented. And I wanted to make sure it's understood that the media you're referring to is in fact filtered media. And it's people call it mainstream media, but no. That's not what it is anymore. It's not. That's not it. But so my question on that was, how has media shaped how you associate, with, I don't know, news. You know what I mean? So obviously we know we're turning on the news. Some stuff will happen in an essential Black neighborhood, and they'll pull someone who may not be as articulate or able to we'll say explain the certain situations in a manner that what say a good wholesome white person would in another neighborhood, right? And then that's the view that we have on how Black people are in this neighborhood. Is that what you're saying?
So I'm gonna use my example. When I came to Louisville and I started getting involved in the community, the traditional media came to me because I'm not from Louisville, okay? And I'm involved in certain things in the community, and I was just wanting to be a leader that was calling things out in what I saw. The media came to me and said, well, we're going to tell this story, and we're going to identify you as a Black leader talking about this story. And I stopped them because I'm in the middle. I said, well, hold up, so hold. I don't want you to report me as a Black leader in the community. No, I don't want. I want you to report me as a leader in the community that's trying to make a difference in my community. I said, now, if you can't report me that way, don't report me at all. You know what they did? They didn't report me at all because I specifically told them I didn't want you to label me because I'm from the military. When I served in the military, I served all my soldiers. I didn't serve the Black soldiers. I didn't serve the white soldiers. I served the soldiers. So when I served my community, I was serving my community. And I thought about my community. I thought about Louisville. Yeah,
but listen, Uncle Mishore, I'm hella Black. I'm serving the Black community. This radio station is for Black people, but white people can tune in too. Okay, real quick. Chapter 1. There was a quote. It says, excuse me, I speak to you not as a Black man, but as an American. Okay. Right. My question to you is, why is it that you withdraw yourself from calling yourself Black instead of transitioning the ideal of what you believe the media has done to make, to define us as Black people? Why don't you reshape what being Black and the definition of being Black? Why don't you do that instead of just withdrawing yourself from it?
And so you use the word withdrawing, so that is your word that you're placing on me, saying that I withdraw. But I'm actually saying I embrace the idea that the dominant European culture, they named us Black. And you have to ask yourself, why would they name themselves white when they controlled everything? And Black is something that they named us. And so when you have navigated in that environment, I started realizing that Black was a construct that if I bought into their ideology of me, I made them feel comfortable and I signed off on what they're. But when I say, no, I'm not your Black. I am an American, and I'm just as American as you because of my ancestors that helped build this country who were not Black, Negro. They were American slaves. That's why I go back and tell the story about Jamestown.
But what were they? But were they American slaves, or were they slaves brought over from another land? Okay, real quick though.
Hold up, that you see, that is the problem with us when we say, were there slaves? Well, I am not talking about the enslaved Africans that were captured and came out. I'm talking about the bred slaves that were bred in the 15 slave states all through America, and they were formed.
So if that's the case, right? I have some friends who are they're from Ireland. Okay,
right?
They've been their grandparents were born here. Their great grandparents were born here. Their great grandparents may have been born in Ireland, right? Are they from Ireland, or are they from what is it? What are we doing here? Are they American, or are they Islanders still? Because I bet you if I ask them that they're going to say, oh, I'm Irish, or I'm from Ireland, or what, they're going to say whatever it is, right? Because I feel like it's only people who look like us, right? That we don't know shit. We don't know what the hell is going on. Okay, we don't know where we originate from unless you have like a family like mine. I had a family of historians, so there's a history, notated history that's documented back way back when, but every family does not have that, right? So we don't know what that looks like. You may not know what that looks like for your family in particular. But I understand what you're saying. You're saying people who are bred here, now they're Americans, huh? But everybody doesn't identify that way. If you're Mexican, unless you're just really trying to conform, you're still Mexican. The
construct was formed and created to keep us from our birthplace, birthrights, and our inheritance. There is no black country. There's no country named black. So why would the dominant European culture call themselves white and go out of their way to make sure that the individuals who are bred, and then they have no problem with you saying that you're Africans. They have no problem with you saying that you want to call yourself African, because then you're not identifying with your heritage of the slaves that they took free labor and they bred and built this country and created the infrastructure that they did. And then they didn't even give none of our culture, no reparation, no nothing. So they love the fact.
And they're not going to until we have until we understand where we came from. So completely understood. And then I gotta skip, okay, because as a kid, right?
Notice Black I got this shirt on called Coexist.
Of course,
I truly believe
as we all should. Listen, I am probably one of the most open and free people that you probably will ever meet in your entire life, right? I was raised in the church, and I was low-key homophobic for a little while, and then I understood, like, wait a minute, like, I can be a free thinker and I can ask questions,
right.
And then I can do the research, and then I can do the research and find certain things out, and then too, like, I can denounce this religion, and also too, I can study the Bible and find out what I believe to be true or not. So yes, I feel your shirt. We're here. Real quick, chapter 2. As a kid, right? Black History Month comes up. It's nice shows that come on during Black History Month. One of them is those of you who are in the comments, okay? If you can think of a show, a series that you watched as a kid every time Black History Month came up, I need you to drop that in the comments before I even say this. But it was definitely a series that most of us watched, for sure. I'm waiting for those comments to come through. But so I was reading this chapter, and I did take some notes on this. So you mentioned how you were like sheltered as a child, but then I read about you watching Roots. So did your mom allow you to watch Roots, or did you end up watching that when you were older?
No, I watched Roots when I was in my teens.
Okay, so you did get a chance to
I watched
see what that was like
in the movie Roots because of my sheltered and the things I've experienced. I was a follower of many other people and everything. And so I found myself acting out of anger. And if you follow that book, follow what I'm saying, I got captured in the ideology that because I grew up in an environment in Miami where my parents hated white people, and I hated white people just because they were white. Okay. So I had this anger about hating white people, just hating white people. So when the movie Roots came along, I participated in rioting and everything, and I've actually put my hands on some white people. And I was fortunate that.
Are we not acting like some white people need their hands put on them?
Are
we not acting like that? Okay.
Violence that I participated in, I realized later on, after I got a relationship with my creator, that it was not my responsibility. Vengeance is not ours, okay? Vengeance belongs to God.
Are we sure about that?
Vengeance don't belong. Yeah, vengeance is not ours.
So why go to the military to fight for wars then?
Oh, that's a whole nother conversation.
I'm just saying.
The reason why I went in the military, say you asking a question, but I was placed in the military to get away from the condition and the dysfunction. If you read there, I was brought up in a very dysfunctional environment, and I had to get away from it. I wouldn't even be here today had I not escaped to the military. And then once I got in the military, I found a new avenue about who I was, and then I started realizing that I had to unlearn to relearn a new me, Sean. So the military turned out to be my lifesaver. But I went there to discover myself. When I say vengeance, I'm talking about when you knowing that someone has done something to you and you have tried to deal with that in a manner. If you consider yourself to be a person that believes in God, okay, God specifically say vengeance is his, okay, not ours, okay, his. And so we have to be careful when we're using our anger, okay, to get back at people solely because we want to do it for some vendetta. I've learned not to do that anymore, okay? I've learned to try to find a peaceful way.
The same here, okay? Like, I'm just like, I even often have to tell my sister, I'm like, hey, it's going to come back to them. Don't even stress yourself. It's going to, it's going to come back to them, and it'll come back to us however it needs to come back to.
When you think about us culturally, okay, and I want to go back to what you're saying, okay, you're having a conversation about a systematic system what is put in place that has led us to operate in a dysfunctional, altered manner. Our men, a lot of our women are not used to a strong brother who's confident to say, and I thought you might go here, but you didn't cover this part of it in the prefix. Before you even get into reading my book, I specifically go to talking about what took place with Dred Scott when that hearing took place, when they literally said the dominant European culture, the kings and queens of America, literally said that America, our system, was not created for blacks or slaves.
It absolutely was not. That's not news.
No. But my point is, they intentionally knew that the system that they created was not ever created and meant for us to even see ourselves as equal as them. Then if you read down before coming out of prefix, I said the first thing that me, Sean, had to do once I understood, it's like playing the game of chess. Once I understood the board that I was in, the first thing that I had to do, and I discovered it becoming a surgical tech, is that I had to learn how to become a king and learn how to identify my queen. And then now I can be able to navigate more productive in this capitalist society. See, I'm not angry about what America have done. What I've realized is that it is my responsibility because no one's coming to save us. This religious ideology of believing that we're going to sit around here and God going to come down here and save us from we must learn how to figure it out and play the game. And that's what the Uncle Me, Sean, and that's what my book is all about. My book is trying to get us to become deprogrammed from the color construct that has already been affecting us for 400 years.
So, real question, a quote, "Cooned out of some heavenly land by the white devil." Do you believe that scenario was untrue? Like, do you not believe that the synopsis of the series Roots, where Europeans from wherever, white people from wherever they were from, because it wasn't all Europe. Okay.
Yeah.
So they went over to this African land, whatever country they decided to stop at first. If you do watch some recent movies, they do kind of reveal a little bit more of how the slave trades were actually working back then, and how people like us were the ones who were kind of giving away these slaves for trades. But anyway, So we're saying that, do you not believe that scenario is true, that the white folks went over to the heavenly land of Africa and brought back people who look like us?
In my book, I said it's 800, basically almost 800 different tribes in Africa. So they went and captured multiple different villages of people and brought them back. Now you're leading right into my conversation, which I'm actually glad, because just like there are hybrid fruits and hybrid animals and hybrid dogs and hybrid things, the dominant European culture created a hybrid species. Okay, and
that's absolutely the truth.
We are a hybrid species. Okay,
and the thing is that I think
let me get this out.
Listen, I'm gonna say that
you went there. Okay?
I think they fucked up. Okay, Uncle Michonne, I think they messed up because.
Okay. I'm glad they see. We have to now. I love. You know what? I love what you just said. We have to claim that if the dominant European culture had known that they were going to create the brothers that we're creating today, and many of our brothers ain't even gotten. I'm not even talking about the women. See, I'm talking about 25 and older, our men. If we're start really coming and understanding that we are a hybrid species of people here in America, that the dominant European culture didn't really understood what they were creating. We're like a new fruit. We are like a new animal. We like something they ain't never seen before.
Bigger, stronger, smarter, faster.
Smart, we articulate, we crafty. We are something. That's why I want to talk to the men. I want to say that, listen, dude. Listen, in the best way I can explain this, can I just tell the story real quick? Can I tell the story real quick? Here's the story. You know, I done went out here and created this book. And so I've been working as a surgical tech in the operating room now in this hospital for 18 years. And then I went out. I have been working there as a surgical tech, as a neurosurgeon, orthopedics. And so I finally retired from there. And one of my professional individuals, doctors, he also retired. He retired about 18 months prior to me, and I retired after him. He heard me on the radio saying that I was going to be at this coffee shop. I showed up. I'm there. I didn't know that he was going to come. He shows up, and the African friend of mine who was there saw something, and he told me later, he calls me Uncle Michonne or Mr. Daniels. He said, Mr. Daniels, can I ask you a question about the gentleman that showed up? I said, go ahead. He said, the gentleman that showed up, tell me about him. I said, well, the gentleman that showed up he was the chief of surgery in orthopedics. He is the high level in it. He said, okay. He said, when I observed him, when he came to the West End, he said he came from the East End all the way into the hood to get your book. I said, yes. He said, when he showed up, this is the African observation. When he showed up, he came and you kept calling him Dr. Sonda. And he said, hey, Michonne, I'm retired, brother. You don't have to call me that anymore. He said, just call me by my first name. I said, okay. So we talked. The African said, I could tell he paid homage to you, okay? He said, it's almost like you was the king. You served him when you served, and I said, I served him when I worked with him. He said he came to your environment, sat by you, and honored you, and he gave you the utmost respect. I said, brother, the African, he said, you peeped that. He said, you even talked to him when everybody else was talking. You and him was talking in such a, let me say code switching. You all was talking in such a code switching. He didn't say that, but I'm sorry for this. Y'all were talking in such a manner that I could tell he had the tremendous amount of respect.
As he should. As he should. Look, I just want you to know, this time going by so fast. We only got 10 minutes left, and we're not even on chapter 3. Goodness gracious.
Good thing is that we got a part 2 of this, right?
We do have a part 2, and I feel like we're gonna need a part 3 and 4 because I don't know what the heck is going on. It's doing too much. Okay,
but this
so
is this is a good conversation.
Absolutely. So real quick, so chapter 3, who am I? Okay, my question is this: when you ask me, it says when you ask me, who are you? You're actually asking me where did you come from?
Exactly.
And I don't know. I don't know that if I'm asking you, who are you? I just want to know like who are you? Like what do you do? Like where? Like I don't need to know where you live. That's not what I'm actually asking you. Like where you came from. But I can imagine that the others, right? I can imagine the others asking that question, like who are you? Because they want to know your whole background. How much money you make, where you're from, why do you speak that way? So
right, exactly.
Is that what you're implying?
What I'm actually when in just a few seconds, you and I have had multiple times that we done spoke to one another. I have learned a lot from you just by listening to you. Your exposure, your experience. Mm-hmm. You don't have to tell me about how much money all you have to do is spend time and listen to how people speak and talk about what they overcome and what they've been through. You discover that they are different. They learn to be who they are. And so what I say to people is that sometimes, and I really want to put a challenge to people. I love the fact that I didn't have, someone asked me this before, Mishan, did you feel bad that you didn't have the Black experience? You know what? I feel glad that I didn't, okay? Because I've been able to observe things about us culturally that I say that we have to learn how to unlearn, to relearn, to discover some things that everything that we've been told is not absolutely correct. Everything that we thought was an experience of things is not all been true. And so I have not had to do all that. I've actually had to be a part of something, but I wasn't indoctrinated into it. So when I say who you are, I want to spend the time. And I do that with even my dominant European culture of the American. We're
going to have to stop calling it. We got to call them something else. I know that's in the book and everything.
No. Well, it's the reason why I call them.
We're just going to call them the others.
No, there's a reason. See, these are reasons why I'm using these terminologies.
I know the reason.
Because there you have the Asians. The Asians are the number one dominant culture economically in this country, and they don't run for no political office nowhere. But they have the highest ratio of wealth in this country.
I mean, there's definitely some Asians who are part of the LGBTQ community who are definitely running for offices. That brings me to other questions. Okay, because I got, I got questions, and we got 6 minutes. Okay, we got 6 minutes. I got questions. All right. Couple of things. In later on in chapter 3, which is titled "Who Am I?" you write. You spoke about a couple of things about your name, and like we know that a lot of Black people have very unique names, and when we are going to places where they're calling your name out loud, so on and so forth, like oftentimes we have to correct them to say our names properly.
Exactly.
And then you may have those others who will purposely say your name a certain way, but we'll talk about that. We'll have to come back to that because that's a whole additional conversation. Okay. In this chapter, you talked about your grandfather being essentially white passing, right? You talk about
his family's white passing. His family's white passing. He married my grandmother not to pass as white.
Right. And I did have a quick question about that, but I'm gonna need you to answer short, okay? Short and sweet, because we got another question. Okay, so did someone tell you that your grandfather only married your grandmother because her skin was dark?
Oh no.
Or was that an assumption?
I discovered that.
Like you heard that from him? But I know he passed before you.
Passed. I spoke to my mother, and I discovered that. I discovered that. I'm going to say to you, I'm going to say to you, because of my grandfather died when he was 30. They had a total of 8, 10 of them was born and 8 of them miscarriage. My grandfather was trying to have children that had melanin in their skin. Okay. Mm-hmm. And to answer your question fairly, no one told me that. Spiritually, I received that confirmation. Okay. Talking to my mother, talking to my uncles, and talking about who my grandfather was, it became evident that their life was based on a colonial, trying to escape that colonial mentality of being pressured to be something that he didn't want to be. And he wanted his children to be more black than he was.
Right. So this is what I definitely would challenge you to do as for your family moving forward, is definitely like have factual things that you can add to your family history, like so that it's documented. You feel this way about this, right? We got this book. They could take that along with them, but about specific things like with family, because that way you know for sure that this is why this person did this. Okay, real quick, because this one gonna get a little risky, and then we got to get out of here.
You do know that there's a spiritual truth and there's a physical truth. Now you're talking about you want me to. You are preaching to the choir.
Yes, you're preaching to the choir here. The choir singing loud. You hear them? Yep. Okay. So real quick. So the quote that I want to read has to do with it's this. It's some of our young folk out there even define themselves based off of sexuality, if in all things. So the paragraph was about how we identify ourselves, right? And this particular segment says, basically it's saying like young people, they base themselves off of sexuality. And then, and this is a yes or no question. That's all I need you to answer. Are you homophobic?
No, you want to.
This is a yes or no. This is a yes or no. Are you homophobic?
No, I am not homophobic.
Okay.
No.
The next question is that are you, in the previous paragraph, you were telling everyone else to kind of like explain who they are, and you mentioned like identity is rewritable, but in the previous paragraph, like you mentioned, like this following paragraph, you mentioned like young people can't rewrite themselves. They can rewrite themselves, but them identifying as whatever sexuality they want to identify with, isn't that rewriting themselves? Isn't that okay?
When you read the very thing that you're talking about, I'm talking about in the garden when one lose their innocence. Once you lose your innocence, okay, your innocence is gone. You can never get that back. The only thing that you have then is what you discover and what you make your own. So that's a yes and a no. But because the fact is, once you lose your innocence, like when I lost my innocence, or when you have predatory people like a heterosexual person get in the head of a young woman who did not really want to have that relationship, but found herself doing it, or you have a lesbian or a gay man that predatorily chasing after young women and young men that may be straight, but they don't realize that they need someone to talk to, and they find themselves doing things that they,
So are you saying that happens more now than it did in the past?
That is happening way more. I'm
gonna end it on this because we only got like 45 seconds left.
Because of with the information highway, with so much access and everything, we having people losing their innocence. We having innocent babies, and
but it's not. I don't think that it didn't happen before. I think that it's the simple fact that specifically Black men did not want to talk about things that had happened to them before because it was going to be taboo. Someone's going to make fun of them. They felt that someone's going to feel a certain type of way about it, so on and so forth. But that was that. So listen, real quick, you got this dope book, right? And it stimulates a lot of different conversations, right? And I think that we still got a whole other conversation we're about to have about it next week. And I appreciate you being open to my risky conversation and my risky questions as well.
I love you. But I love who you are. I love who you are, and I like this. And I'm just close with this one thing. I'm hoping that people can see the value of what Uncle Michon is saying. It's a brand that I'm trying to create. Our men just learning now. My father talked about the idea when he was 50, when I turned 50, I knew that I was a man, but he said, Granddaddy didn't know he was a man at 50. He said he didn't even know he was a man at 50. He was still being called a boy. When I turned 50, I knew I was a man, and I walked in my manhood. I believe our men are just learning how to be an American. Say, I'm not trying to be black. I'm trying to be an American descendants of slave.
I am not trying to be either. I'm trying to get the hell out of this country. UncleMichon.com. You can get this book. Don't forget, next week we are going to be back with this conversation as well. We are going to be right back here next Thursday, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And go ahead and read the book. Order it. Get those books out early.
Make it a
Uncle Michon, because they go.
Make
there
it
you have it.
That's why I'm doing this. It's before Christmas.
And get the books out so that you can join the conversation as well, because it's definitely one that we should have. Thank you for hanging out with me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward next week. And bring it next week now. It's going into the new year. We're going to have to bring it strong.
Listen, I bring it strong every single time because I'm a grown-ass black woman. We'll see y'all later. Bye, y'all.
Love you.
Love you back.